Welcome to this explainer. You know, when you sit down in that barber's chair today, you're probably just thinking about getting a quick trim or a fade, but actually, you are participating in a massive tradition, one that was forged through sheer economic survival, wild social evolution, and a relentless, high-stakes battle against technological disruption. So let's just jump right in. Okay, let's kick things off with a pretty wild question. How exactly did a seemingly basic, everyday service become this incredibly powerful tool for economic survival, and eventually, a certified profession? We almost always think of disruption as a modern Silicon Valley tech industry problem, right? And we just think of barbershops as a spot to get a shave. But this trade holds a history of resilience that is, frankly, mind-blowing. Let's look at where it all began.
Section 1. Colonial Origins and Emancipation.
All right, if we throw it back to the early colonial days, starting right around the 15th century when America was under European control, the barbering profession was viewed entirely differently depending on who you were. For European colonists, the trade was seen as super unprofitable. It commanded very low respect, so it just wasn't a desirable job for them at all. But for enslaved Black Americans, this exact same profession represented profound economic opportunity. Enslaved individuals were actually permitted to take up this work, and man, they utilized it masterfully. By mastering the tools, the shears, the blades, the grooming products, they were able to earn a living. And the crazy part? Many used these earnings to literally buy freedom for themselves and their family members. A simple pair of scissors was, quite literally, a tool for liberation.
Now, following American independence and the eventual banning of slavery, the U.S. hit a vital turning point. The individuals who had spent years mastering this craft were suddenly free citizens operating in an open market. And because of this, the profession organically grew and rapidly elevated its standing in society. It wasn't just a means of survival anymore. It was transforming into a highly respected, absolutely vital community pillar.
Moving right along to Section 2, Barbershops as Social Hubs.
So, heading into the 19th century, the barbershop evolved from a mere service station into this bustling, indispensable community hub. By the year 1800, these shops were the definition of vibrant gathering spaces. And guys, they weren't just popping in to catch up on the latest hairstyles or grooming customs. No, they were going in to hash out the political landscape, debate complex religious and social issues, and really dig into the economic realities of their neighborhoods. The barber became this central, trusted figure, a true facilitator of civic conversation. Honestly, it's a massive leap from the low-respect gig it was just a century prior.
And, as the social status of the profession grew, the technology totally leveled up too. The introduction of electrical tools and brand new products completely revolutionized the workplace culture. This wasn't just about churning out faster haircuts. It made the shops wildly more efficient and modern. It firmly cemented barbering as a sophisticated trade that required very specific technical skills and specialized gear.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Gillette Razor Disruption.
But of course, just as the profession was hitting its absolute stride as a cultural staple, a major disruptor entered the scene and seriously threatened everyone's livelihoods. In 1903, an American businessman named Gillette invented the safety razor. Boom! Massive paradigm shift. Before this, if you wanted a close-safe shave, you had to rely on the steady hand of a professional barber wielding a straight razor. But Gillette's invention, it allowed everyday people to safely shave their own faces at home, meaning they could completely bypass the barbershop for their daily grooming.
The fallout from this was brutal and immediate. Before 1903, demand for professional barbers was sky high. But once that safety razor hit the market, the demand for professional shaving services absolutely tanked, taking barbers' incomes down with it. It is literally a classic tale of technological disruption, an entire industry suddenly waking up to find its core service rendered totally optional by a shiny new consumer product.
So, how did they bounce back? Let's get into Section 4, Professionalizing the Barber Trade.
To survive this massive drop in demand, the trade had to pivot, and pivot hard. They couldn't just rely on doing daily shaves anymore. They had to prove their value went way beyond what a guy could just do in his own bathroom. And the timing here is wild. Right before the 1903 Gillette disruption, something crucial happened. In 1893, institutional education anchored the profession. This incredible foresight to create a formal educational structure was exactly what saved the industry when the safety razor threatened to wipe it out. And by 1965, that effort gets national recognition. Let's zoom in on that 1893 milestone.
1893. Lock that year in your memory, because that is when a visionary named A.B. Muller opened the very first barber school over in Chicago. And he didn't stop there. He aggressively expanded these schools to many parts of the U.S. Muller realized something profound.
To be respected and, more importantly, to survive economic shifts, barbering needed to be a taught, standardized, and certified profession.
When you look back at the core tools that shaped this whole era, it's fascinating. You've got electrical equipment driving efficiency on one side and the safety razor acting as the great economic disruptor on the other. But honestly, the most important tool wasn't a blade or a buzzer. It was A.B. Mahler's Manual of Barbering. He literally wrote the book on the subject. This manual became the foundational educational backbone that formalized the whole service. It meant a barber wasn't just some guy with shears anymore. They were trained, educated professionals. And that distinction, that's exactly what allowed barbers to keep their clientele despite the ultimate convenience of the at-home razor.
Mahler's massive impact on saving and professionalizing the service absolutely did not go unnoticed. Decades later, in 1965, he was honored with the prestigious United States Hall of Fame Award for his distinguished services. Think about that for a second. He took a trade that was once despised by early colonists, a trade that acted as a literal lifeline for the enslaved, and helps transform it into a robust, highly educated, and recognized American profession that could totally withstand modern technological disruption.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to chew on. If a seemingly simple trade like barbering, something most of us take for granted every couple of weeks, holds such an incredible, hidden history of emancipation, community building, and economic survival, what other everyday services are hiding world-changing stories? Next time you sit down in that chair, take a look at the diploma hanging on the wall, and remember the centuries of resilience that put it there. Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.